The Keeper of the Lantern. In the ancient city of Al-Qamar, nestled at the edge of the Rub al-Khali desert, the evening air was thick with the scent of spices and the murmur of voices drifting through the bustling souk. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting its golden glow over the domed rooftops and narrow alleyways. In the heart of the city, a young boy named Zayed stood in his father's lantern shop, polishing the glass of an ornate brass lamp. Zayed was no ordinary boy, and his father's lantern shop was no ordinary shop. For generations, his family had been the keepers of Al-Qamar's great lantern, a relic said to hold the light of the moon itself. Every year during the Festival of Illumination, the great lantern was paraded through the city, its glow said to bring prosperity and protection to the people of Al-Qamar. The festival was only 2 days away, and the city buzzed with excitement. Vendors called out their wares, dates, saffron, embroidered silks, while dancers twirled to the rhythm of the darbuka. Yet inside the lantern shop, the mood was somber. Zayed's father, Ahmed, sat at his workbench, his brow furrowed in worry. "Zayed," he said, his voice heavy, "the great lantern's flame has dimmed." Zayed's eyes widened. "Dimmed? But how? It has burned bright for centuries." Ahmed shook his head. "I do not know, my son. Perhaps the desert winds carried away its power, or perhaps the moon has turned its face from us. Without the lantern, the festival cannot go on, and the people will lose faith in its light." Zayed felt a pang of responsibility. He had grown up hearing the stories of the great lantern's magic, how it guided travelers through the endless desert, how it warded off the jinn that roamed the night. To let its light fade was unthinkable. "I'll find a way to restore it," Zayed said, his voice steady with determination. Ahmed hesitated, but he saw the fire in his son's eyes and nodded. "Be careful, my son. The desert holds many secrets, and not all of them are kind." That night, Zayed packed a small satchel with dates, water, and the smallest lantern from his father's shop. He set out under the starlit sky, the sands of the desert cool beneath his feet. His only guide was the faint shimmer of the moonlight on the horizon. Hours turned to days, and the desert stretched endlessly before him. On the third night, as he rested beneath a lone acacia tree, he heard a voice on the wind. "Why do you wander, child of Al-Qamar?" Zayed turned to see an old man cloaked in white, his face weathered like the desert itself. His eyes shone with an otherworldly light, and Zayed felt a shiver run down his spine. "I seek the light of the moon," Zayed replied. "The great lantern's flame has dimmed, and I must restore it before the festival." The old man nodded slowly. "The moon's light is a gift, but it is not freely given. If you wish to restore it, you must prove yourself worthy. Beyond the dunes lies the Valley of Echoes. Find the well at its center and offer something precious to you. Only then will the moon's light return." Before Zayed could ask more, the man vanished, leaving only the rustle of the desert wind. With renewed resolve, Zayed continued his journey. The Valley of Echoes was as the old man had said, hidden between towering dunes, its silence so profound that even the sound of his footsteps seemed to reverberate endlessly. At the valley's heart was an ancient well, its stones worn smooth by time. Zayed approached the well and peered into its depths. The water glimmered faintly, as if reflecting the light of a hidden moon. He remembered the old man's words, "Offer something precious to you." He looked down at the small lantern he carried, the one his father had given him when he was a boy. It had guided him through many dark nights, its flame a symbol of his family's legacy. The thought of parting with it made his heart ache, but he knew what he had to do. Taking a deep breath, Zayed placed the lantern into the well. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a beam of silver light shot up from the water, illuminating the valley in a glow brighter than the stars. When Zayed opened his eyes, he was no longer in the valley. He stood in his father's shop, the great lantern before him. Its flame burned brighter than ever, its light filling the room with warmth and hope. The next evening, as the Festival of Illumination began, the people of Al-Qamar gathered in the square. When the great lantern was unveiled, a collective gasp rose from the crowd. Its light was no longer just a flicker, it was a radiant beacon, casting its glow over the entire city. Zayed stood beside his father, his heart swelling with pride. He knew he would never forget the journey he had taken, the sacrifices he had made. The light of the great lantern was not just the light of the moon, it was the light of courage, of faith, of those who dared to wander into the unknown and return with something greater. And so, beneath the glow of the lantern and the cheers of his people, Zayed realized that he, too, was a keeper of the light, not just for Al-Qamar, but for all who dared to dream.